Good morning, students. We are back with our play The Merchant of Venice, Act 3, Scene 2. In my previous video, we had reached the point where Bassanio is there going ahead with the choosing of the casket. While he is choosing, Portia has ordered a song to be played. Yesterday I had read the song, explained the meaning of the song, but unfortunately, Bassanio pays no attention to the song, and while he is choosing, these are the words on his mind. So we had reached the point: how many cowards whose hearts are as false as stairs of stand, were yet upon their chin the beard of Hercules and crown. So he is trying to focus on reality and deception. What is reality and what is deception? Deception is false images. And he's saying that there are so many cowards in this world who, just to give a false impression that they are brave and they are strong, they wear the beards that was worn by Hercules, so that people think them to be strong. But in reality, these are cowards from within, right? Again, who inward search have livers white as milk. Said when you look at these people who appear to be strong because they have the beard of Hercules, you look within them, they are having livers as white as milk. Liver is an indication of the human body that shows strength. Okay. Who inward search have livers white as milk, and these assume valor's excrement to render them rebound. And says these people, these very people, put on this display of outward show. They want to show this outward appearance to people and give them this false notion, false idea about themselves, that they are courageous, brave like Hercules. Okay. Look on beauty and you shall see its purchase by weight. Then these are different examples to show, given by Bassanio to bring out the difference between appearance and reality. Then he gives another example of beauty. He says, look at beauty, meaning that he says that women, girls, they could be ordinary looking, but yet when they purchase makeup, when they wear that makeup, they are transformed. You look at them, you can't recognize them. You see these heroines of our Hindi movies, English movies, you see them in ordinary life. They are nothing to look at. Yet when you see them on the screen, they are having so much of makeup, they are transformed. Inwardly they are nothing, outwardly they are beautiful. So in the same way, beauty can be purchased by weight, meaning all the lipstick, mascara, the rouge and all the things that girls wear, it is purchased by money, by weight, and when it is used on one, it transforms that person. Okay, which therein works a miracle. And said then when this makeup is utilized by the women, a miracle happens, a transformation takes place in that woman. Okay, making them lightest that wears most of it, and says making them who uses them the most the vainest. Vainest is the most proudest. Okay, so are these crisp snaky golden locks. Another example, many examples. It says in the same way, abroad people are very used to wearing false hair, wigs. And he says when an ordinary person purchases a wig of golden color, a girl or a lady, and she wears that wig, she is transformed. Her looks change. Okay, so are these crisp snaky golden locks which make such wanton gambles with the wind. He says when a person wears this golden curly wigs, okay, that play, and when the wind blows, that person is looking attractive. Yet no one knows that that wig, that hair from which the wig is made, belongs to someone else. That person could be dead. That person could be dead in the grave, and yet that wig is transforming someone else. That is what he is trying to hint at. Okay, which makes such wanton gambles with the wind upon supposed fairness, often known to be the dowry of a second hand. And these wigs are supposed to be known as the dowry of another person. The skull that bred them in the sculpture, thus ornament, is but the gilded show. He said the person that this hair belonged to could at this moment be lying in their grave, and yet the wig is used by someone else to make them look more beautiful. Then, thus ornament is but the gilded shows to a most dangerous sea, and beauty is carved veiling an Indian beauty in a word that seems truth, which cunning times put on to entrap the wisest. Another example then he gives, he says, thus outward adoration, meaning outward show, is only the deceitful show of a very dangerous sea. Meaning sometimes a sea could be very dangerous, and you look at it, you can't see the danger in that sea. Okay, the beautiful scarf hiding the dark skinned lady. Indian lady is the dark skinned lady, and they have this ghungat, parda, whatever you call it, and when you have it down, you can't see that person's face. That face is hidden. Okay, in short, it is the seeming truth that cunning people used to teach the wise. In truth, these are tricks. All examples that are given, these are only tricks that are used by cunning people to cheat others, to deceive others, and give them this false impression. Therefore thy gaudy gold. Now the most important part is saying, therefore now he is talking and he is addressing the golden casket. And he says, therefore thy gaudy gold, hard food for Midas. He says, therefore you showy gold, that you attractive gold, the hard food that Midas could not eat. Now gold is referred to the food of Midas. In your books, at the side you will be given the example of King Midas, this greedy king who wished and he wanted and he prayed to a god to give him that power. Whatever he touches should turn to gold. And the god granted his wish. And whatever King Midas touched, even to the extent the food, the water, all turned to gold. He could not eat food. Once his daughter came and sat on his lap, she was transformed to a gold statue. He said that was the punishment for King Midas, who was greedy. It says, gold, you can be food for Midas, but you are nothing for me. Here we get the idea that Bassanio is not interested in the gold casket. He says, I will none of thee. Meaning, I want to have nothing to do with you, the golden casket. He's outrightly, practically rejecting the golden casket. Nor none of these the pale and common drudge between man and man. And at the same time, he is also referring to the silver casket. I will have nothing to do with you, nor will I have anything to do, you pale silver ordinary slave that is passed as coin from person to person. Then he rejects the silver casket on the ground that it is a very ordinary metal used for making coins. And these coins are passed on from person to person. They are not firm, they are not stable, they don't remain with someone. So on these two grounds, he in one go rejects the gold and the silver casket. Okay, which rather threatens, and then says, but thou meager lead, which rather threatens than thus promise, or says, then he says, I have anything to do with silver, ordinary slave that is passed as coin from person to person, that is about the silver. But you unattractive, now he is looking at the lead casket and he is saying, you unattractive lead, which threatens rather than promise. Why does it threaten? Because the inscriptions that are given on the lead casket, what was the inscription? He that chooses me will have to give and hazard all he hath. Meaning the person who goes and chooses me will have to give up, will have to risk whatever he has. He said, I am that type of person who would take a risk. Okay? Thy paleness moves me more than eloquence. Says, but you unattractive lead, which threatens rather than promises anything, your paleness, meaning your dullness, your unattractiveness, moves me more than eloquent word. Meaning I am more impressed by you than by eloquent or by hi-fi words. And here choose I, joy be the consequence. And here I make my choice. And I wish and I pray that the result be one of joy. Meaning the result, that is the outcome of my choosing this lead casket, should be joyful, should be something positive for me. Okay, now he has made his final. So this is very, very important, my dear student, for you to remember why Bassanio rejected the gold casket, the silver casket, and on what ground did he select the lead casket. Very important questions come on this. Okay, now he has ultimately decided to go ahead and choose the lead casket. At this moment, Portia's heart is pounding because she knows he has chosen the right casket, but she can't show it, she can't express her feelings. Okay, so she's trying to subdue her feelings here, and she is trying to say how all the other passions fleet to air, as doubtful thought and rash embrace despair. So he says how all right now till this very moment Portia was fearful, nervous, and different type of emotion, but immediately when Bassanio chose the right casket, all these negative emotions from Portia are eliminated from her system, from her body. She is no longer nervous, she is no longer worried, she is no longer in fear, because she knows that now Bassanio has chosen the right casket. Okay, as doubtful thought and rash embrace despair, and shuddering fear. Now these are the fears, these were the qualities that were on. Shuddering fear, underline it. Green-eyed jealousy was in her. Oh, love be moderate, ally that then she is trying to control her passion, her love. He says, try to control. Don't show Bassanio that I am in love with him, that I am happy that he has chosen the right casket. She is trying to control her emotions. Okay. Oh, love be moderate, ally thy ecstasies, control your joy. In measures reign thy joy, send this excess. Give me joy, but in a limited way, not overdoing it. So I burst with emotion, and my emotion can be shown to Bassanio. I feel too much thy blessings, make it less. He said, I feel these blessings are too much for me at this moment. I would like that these blessings should be reduced. I don't want so many blessings. Okay, I feel too much the blessing, make it less. For fear, it says, I make it less, for I am afraid my happiness will be excessive, and I don't want my happiness to be extra, but I will explode with happiness, and I will let out my emotion. So let it be controlled, let the emotions be subdued, and let the happiness that is coming to me come in proportion, not in one jhatka, as you say. Okay, so my dear students, we'll do up till here, that is line number 115. So mark up till this line 115. I am also marking it. From the next time we will pick up from here. Till then, goodbye, God bless.